Welcome to another live lesson. How y'all doing out there in YouTube land, Facebook land, inside of Drumeo too. I'm here with my buddy Kyle Radomsky today.
Hey everybody, how you doing today?
Yeah.
Right on.
And for what it's worth, I threw that song at him without him even listening to it.
Not once ever.
As a champ, you came through and didn't actually turn out too bad.
I guess the thing I say here is, well, you know, with great songwriting, Dave, it's really easy. The song just kind of writes itself.
Yeah, right? It's
Right?
simple phrasing. And that's what we're talking about today is learning songs. We just released last week a masterclass. Go to drumeo.com and check it out. $5 gets you a month of Drumeo Edge and access to learn songs faster. All proceeds go to help support those in need throughout this COVID crisis.
It's amazing.
So, yeah. So I thought I'd bring on, I know normally Jared's here, but Kyle, if you don't know who Kyle is, he is the gigging drummer's drummer.
When there's gigs to be had.
He is always playing live. He's always learning new songs. How many songs do you have under your belt?
It's lots.
Like thousands.
Yeah, and I'm the guy you call when you have very little time to get a replacement and maybe no rehearsal and we have to go and do this now kind of thing. I'm that guy.
Totally. And obviously, when you know that many songs, it's not like you've transcribed each one.
Yep.
It's not like you have them all just memorized. In fact, I've seen before a book of yours that has just tons of charts, which is what we're talking about today, is learning how to chart songs so that you can play them faster, internalize them, and inside of the Learn Songs Made Faster, or Learn Songs Made Faster, inside of Learn Songs Faster, that masterclass, charting is a section in there. So for those who have already seen it or those who have access to it, you can learn from our perspective, from Jared's perspective, and how we chart. Probably won't be much different than you, but we'll see.
And I think the important thing here is that people hear charting and they're terrified of it because they go, oh my gosh, I don't know how to write music and I'm afraid of all these things. I'll explain this right now before we get into it. The idea of charting, or at least making these notes that you're going to see in how I do today, that process helps solidify that song so quickly for you.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate goal, because in a way it's like doing homework. You're writing something down.
Yes.
But it's the process of doing that, regardless if it's proper notation or otherwise. And when I do them fast, of course I don't have time to write out every single thing. You learn how to sort of internalize and understand how music works. Song form, that becomes like second nature to you. And it allows you to sort of forecast what's coming, which makes it a lot easier. You can process the information so quickly, and it's really not that hard. If I showed you how my charts evolved over the years, it'd be backwards.
Yeah.
Right? When I had my first gig where I had to learn 45 songs, I actually had to notate them though, because I was playing identical parts to a drum machine.
Okay.
The 90s, baby. Let me tell ya.
Yeah.
So I had to chart them a lot, and I wasn't very good at that. So I would write, it took me days and days and days and days and days. And I had this book of everything written out, and it looked terrible because I didn't know how to do song structure properly. And then I had to learn 140 songs in 2 weeks for another gig. All songs I'd never knew. I was probably 20. And I had to figure out how to do it fast. So then my notation got smaller and smaller and smaller. And now, like on Drumeo, we have, I don't know, you've probably done this maybe 10 times with a guest artist out, and you throw them a song and we watch them learn it.
Yeah.
And they all use a variation of what I'm going to show you today, which is probably a variation of what Jared showed in the masterclass.
Yes.
Right? And we all use a similar language to do it, but it's understanding how to use the tools and information you have and how to just sort of quickly cut to that. It's like the Coles notes, but you'll be amazed at how much information you can put in just by doing that.
Yeah.
And what you need to pay attention to, I think, is the key.
Absolutely. And that's what we're talking about today. We're going to throw Kyle a song he's never heard before. And it's actually the same song that we did in the Learn Songs Faster Masterclass, because I really want to see if Kyle does anything different than Jared. Also, I want to start the communication, the conversation, with you all watching live, and to see what things you do differently. Are there things that we don't know or Kyle doesn't do that might be easier?
Yeah.
I know Jim Riley, or was it Jim Riley or Rich Redmond, came out and did the Nashville numbers chart.
Yep.
Randy Cook also came out and did his version of charting a song. I'm noticing everyone has a little bit of a different approach to it, which is really cool, because I've taken little parts and pieces from all these cats and applied them to my charting. And sometimes for me, like you already mentioned, the process of charting is all you need to remember a song. I sometimes never go back to the chart, right? Because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this one had that weird extra bar at the end.
Right.
I've internalized that already. So with that all being said, we nothing but the highest quality at Drumeo here. We've got
Look at that.
super fancy
I even
whiteboard.
title it. I don't know if we have the full shot. It looks like it might say Heart Songs Fast, which is also true.
Yeah.
There, thank you. That's perfect. Chart Songs Fast.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Trailer Park.
I'm
Boys
going to, I
of
just
drum
realized
lessons.
I tied myself to this throne and I'm going to have to stand up.
So while
There we go.
he's standing up and getting himself
nope.
sorted, I'm going to play a song. And This is
Awesome.
called the Rock Song.
Okay.
For those who have successful drumming, you might have seen it there.
You know what? I'm going to chart it while you play it.
Do you want me to play it?
Yeah.
All right, and then after, explain what you've done.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Here's a song for all those watching.
It's called the Rock Song.
It's called the Rock Song.
Got it.
For all those watching, chart it along with us.
This is fun.
Pull up a notepad on your computer.
I'm going to
grab
go
a pen and
on
paper.
this side. Hopefully she's okay with this because I'm right-handed.
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, here we go. The Rock Song. Let me know when you're ready, Kyle. But take a chat at this yourself and see if you come up with kind of what Kyle's doing. And then afterwards, you're going to tell us your process and we'll fine-tune it.
Let's hit it.
Okay, here we go. I'll play it simple so you can get all the structured parts. Here we are. Okay, there you go. Rock Song. Oh, look at that.
It's a little bit, I'm sorry it's terrible, but I wrote it quick, and I'm not used to writing on a giant piece of something. Usually I'm used to writing on a piece of paper. But I can totally explain it, and I'm confident if I had to play it right now, I could.
Okay, so this is interesting because when we did ours on Learn Songs Faster, it was much more stripped back. It was verse, how many bars, chorus. I'm curious to see how many of you did that version. I am also wondering what you have here and how it helps.
Okay.
Talk us through it,
So,
man.
really straightforward. Every one of my charts is based on this idea, okay? And you'll notice as I went, I made a couple of changes because I didn't know
Do you mind sitting while you do
you don't
this?
like this? What?
Because
Is
we
this-
can't see your beautiful face, Kyle.
You can't see my eyes. All right, I'm going to sit down.
There we go.
Everybody, let's sit down and chat. Come on. Okay, everybody good? Oh, what a perfect frame. Okay,
Much
great.
better.
Thank you so much. All right. So first thing I do is I ask what the song title is. That's important because I get a lot of songs from artists that are like originals, and it'll say track 1, track 2. Hey, can you please tell me what track 2 is called? Oh, that's called I lost my truck to my dog, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, great, okay, now I know what it is. So I always put the title down. If I wasn't playing to the track, even still, I probably would check the tempo. I would get my BPM on my phone and check that tempo. That's probably, 108 maybe?
I could tell you the exact if you want.
I'm guessing, so.
Yeah, we'll say 110.
It's somewhere in there.
Sure.
So I would put that here if I needed to know. I put quarter notes. Oh dear, come on. That's a terrible quarter note, but that's a quarter note equals, oh, my marker's going, equals, we'll say 110. So if I had to play the song with no track, I can do that. I'd also put in the corner here if I needed to, just so I know what the style is, I'd put rock. So even if I've lost all my marbles and I totally don't remember how the song goes, because that happens on a gig, I'm like, I have no idea what this, rock song, I wrote it down, but I don't remember. Oh, it's rock. Okay, that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Right? So I put here for this chart, it says click 2 bars. This is, I'm referring to bar sections here, that's why everything's kind of segmented off, and then I've got these lines, so it reads in order. I never, ever put repeats in my charts.
Okay.
Everything is going forward. The reason I do that, it's like a natural numbers chart. You'll never see repeats on a natural numbers chart because of the same reason. I want to glance at this, not stare at this.
Right.
Because if I'm playing this live, the last thing you want to see on a rock gig is this. Bands, singers playing, drummers. Right? Nobody wants to see that, right?
Yeah.
I want to be like focusing with the artist. Yeah, come on, let's go, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm able to glance at this, right? Actually, I'd love to have it this size. Can someone get me a tablet this big?
Right?
That'd be great. I don't know how I'd carry it.
It's the iPad Max.
Yes, Uber Max.
Yeah, not the
Okay,
mini.
so 2 bars click, and then I've got 4 bars intro here. Now I didn't write what's happening there.
Okay.
But I would imagine in an intro, if it was a groove, I'd put groove there.
Okay.
And if it was a really important groove, I usually will write it down at the bottom here. I would just kind of write out what the groove is. But this song's pretty straightforward and pretty standard, so a basic rock beat will work. I don't need to put that in there.
Exactly,
Okay? Just
yeah.
by putting the word rock, I know I'm safe. Rock at 110 BPM, I got a pretty good idea where I can take that. So 4-bar intro there. If what you did, if I was going to play what Dave did, I'd just put cymbals here. And that would mean, okay, I'm going to play something kind of fun on the cymbals.
Sure.
Verse, I put Tom's 8. What I might do here, because Dave was actually playing backbeat on 2 and 4. Just going to move this for a second. Move it down a little bit. 3. I would then write this in. I don't need to write the rhythm out because I know the groove is based on 8th notes. That's what you played.
Right.
And I wrote that in, showing that I'm playing backbeat on snare. That's all that means to me.
Okay.
That's all I need to know. So again, even if I screwed that up, I look at that and I go, Tom's are playing 8th notes and the backbeat's 2 and 4. Hey, that would work
Yeah.
if I forgot that it meant snare drum.
Yeah.
It's still going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
So now what I've done here is the 3 bars of that. And I notated after that, these little slashes, we go, what the heck are those things? So I'm sneaking a little bit of notation in.
Okay.
A little bit. The first 3 beats are as what's happening here, and I've written in the accent Dave is playing there. So I'm going, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay?
Okay.
So that's an 8th note push. That's what that little it's a tie really, or a tie. Yeah, it's a.
It's a push mark.
What's the word I'm looking
Kyle,
for?
you're coining it as a push
mark. I like that.
There you go.
Registered.com, whatever. Okay, so that push there, I know that at least I have an accent on the and of 4. Well, it happens again here too, right? Thankfully that was consistent, so I can do that again. This is actually, I can see now an 8-bar section. Okay,
8-bar
1, 2, 3,
phrase.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I could have just put verse 2 the same. I could have just put 8 bars same, right? But I didn't know. I'd never heard the song before. So First run through, I gotta check that out. So I did that. Now when we got to this next section, I wasn't sure if that was chorus or not. So I'm like, oh, that sounds like it might be a chorus. So I put chorus. So that's fine. I did that for now. And then I put halftime. So now I know the pulse is going from do, ka, do, ka, to do, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I don't need to write that out. Halftime is halftime.
Yep.
Is halftime.
Yep.
So I put halftime. You played ride. I liked that. So I put a note.
Ride and halftime. That's all you need.
6 bars. And then you did a 2-bar build. I could have written 2-bar 8th note. But you did 8th notes and 16th notes. Either would work.
Yeah.
That was probably a judgment call on your part.
Totally was.
So I don't need to transcribe that. 2-bar build, great. And then I have 8 bars. I accidentally erased what this was. Ha! This was chorus. Yes.
Chorus.
And what I did here was, the chorus went by the first time, and I'm like, oh, there's pushes in that. I'll bet you they happen again later. I was lucky. Okay. I could have taken that chance and been wrong. So what I did was, I let that happen. I just wrote 8 bars. I know the chorus is 8 bars. Up here, I normally write this down below. Anything important that's rhythmic that I didn't want to put in this information. Now I know what the pushes are in the chorus. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Do ga do ga do ga do ga. Okay. So now I have that information. I don't have to play that, but I know that's what's happening in the track. So I can reference that, I can accent that, or I don't have to.
Yeah.
But I know it's there. So that's what's happening, 8-bar chorus. I wrote turnaround, that's what TA stands for, in case you're wondering. It doesn't mean, it's a car term they use sometimes. Trans Am. It's not Trans Am.
It's not the Trans Am.
It's turnaround. So that means like a re-intro usually, or a return to something.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's halftime, what you were doing there. It reminded me similar to the intro, but you're doing a little more stuff.
Had a backbeat.
So I left it alone as halftime. Next verse, look, there it is, as before. So same structure as this one, or this one, is the same. So now they're getting smaller. I could have written this chart much smaller if I wanted to now, right? So 8 bars there, pre-chorus, which was very similar to the first pre-chorus, but it was shorter. The first one was an 8-bar total. This one's now only 4, but that build is 2 bars. I'm pretty sure I got that right.
Yep.
And then chorus is the same. If there was different pushes, I'd make another note, but there wasn't. The pushes were the same. Then we go to a turnaround, halftime, 8 bars. That's again that sort of spacey, open space that you did, the ride cymbal, kind of like what was happening in the pre-chorus kind of thing. And then when there's a bridge, which is similar to that, I wrote them differently because melodically they changed. The rhythm stayed the same and the feel stayed the same, but there was something happening that sounded different to me. So I notated that, so I have a different section. That might tell me to play something a little bit different. I might support that slightly differently.
Totally. Now, one thing, T, is it possible that we can get a little closer zoom in on this board? It's really hard for them to see. And obviously, none of this would make any sense if you can't see the board.
That's true.
So we're going to get a little bit of a zoom in on there for you. But so far, what you're talking about is a little bit more in depth than I would normally do, but I like it. I can already see like those rhythmic figures. It's so much information in there. You don't need to really listen to the song much. You could once through. In fact, I'm going to get you to play this song at the very end of this lesson, just based on the one time he's heard. He's never heard this song before.
That was the one time. So I had to listen to Dave play it, think about it, write it down. So I don't really have much retained from that.
No. Now, obviously, you've been drumming for many, many years.
Oh my goodness, many.
Your musical intuition is spot on, which definitely helps, but we're going to show how this works. So let's see what kind of angle we have here. Hopefully this is be a little bit better for everyone here. And again, even if it is,
that's pretty good.
Way better.
That's pretty good. Yeah, let's make sure they can see it. If they're happy with it, please tell us.
It's not going to get any better than
And I'm
this.
sorry that it's so close on my face now. HD's tough, man, I tell you. The amount of makeup I'm wearing right now, whew,
and you still look like that.
I know, it's
crazy.
amazing. I think I'm using the wrong makeup.
Yeah, maybe he's born with it.
I got to stop buying it at the Halloween store.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay, continue. Let's go to that angle.
So, perfect. Okay, I finished off at the bridge. Okay, so down here in the bridge, it's still halftime. That's why I put same. It's hard to read that, but that says same. 8 bars. And you notice I have bar markings everywhere there, so I know. And I break them up because if an important event is occurring, if an important event is occurring, I want to make a note of where that happens in the phrase. That's why this section, which is 6 bars plus 2, it's 8 bars. But I wanted to make sure I knew where that build happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bridge happens 8 bars, and then I put solo. It says regular time, which would mean go back to the main groove, because we were in halftime before that to this 16-bar section. And then it says light chorus, which means there's a solo happening, but what's happening underneath musically and rhythmically is like the chorus. Okay, so that was 16 bars, and then I have at the end there, I have just a big old whole note and kind of a little squiggly line that indicates end of song, last note, wash out.
Yep.
That's it.
There you go.
So that is, now, like you said, Dave, it's totally true. I could have put less on here. I like to be as informed as possible so I can make choices.
Yeah.
And I know that that's going to happen. So now I know where those pushes are. I can choose to play them or not. I'm not guessing. I know the structure of the song, 4-bar intro, 8-bar verse, 8-bar verse, 8-bar pre-chorus, 8-bar chorus, 4-bar turnaround, 8-bar chorus, 4-bar pre-chorus, 8-bar chorus, halftime sort of turnaround sound part, 8-bar bridge, still halftime, 16-bar full rock out, end.
Love it.
Right? So yeah, that's what I do.
And I've seen a few others do some more, like Randy Cook does something very similar to this. He actually writes down figures. Here's a great question from Christine in the chat, asks, whatever happened to just listening to the song a gazillion times till you learn it?
That works great. That works awesome.
That's what I did back in the Stone Age, and it worked for me. I do that too. In fact, most of the times when I've got a gig to do, I'll just put it on, go for a walk, listen to the track. And you're right, I listen to it as many times as I can and then learn songs faster. The masterclass we just released last week, go pick it up if you haven't yet. All proceeds go to help those in need of COVID. So it's a really cool opportunity for you. But we talk about that. Listening is a huge part of it. However, if you were tasked to learn 40 songs in a day, you have the drummer, he's sick, he's got dysentery, he's like, I can't do it, we need to fill him, so they call Kyle up, you need to learn 40 songs, that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I had this conversation all the time with students that are just learning to learn songs and they want a demonstration of how to do this. This doesn't happen overnight. This took me a long time to develop, and it's still changing quite often. Again, the more information I'm absorbing from styles and music and current structure and how songs flow and how they work in different styles, like the country scene has a handful of formulas that work really well, so they're pretty common. Yep. The rock business is not always the same, but there's a lot of similarities in eras, like in the 90s versus the 2000s, they're different. And I'm generalizing big here, but pop tunes today, there's really no real drums on them. So I end up transcribing more parts because I'm probably covering a machine part that is not something I would normally play.
Right.
Like if I'm playing a Chainsmokers song, there's probably a little snare drum rough in there that I would never play.
Yeah.
But I have it notated so that I can copy it and cover it. Why do I do that? Great question. Why don't I just do what you said? It takes a lot longer to do that. It's just the same process is why reading music helps a lot when you're, regardless of what level you want to read at, you can learn faster because the information's already here now. I've processed it very quickly, but it's there. Yeah. And I can just play it. Dave could tell me to learn this song by listening to it. We'd sit here. We could do the same lesson. You would literally watch me listen to the song 5 times.
Well, that's what we do. One of the things I get some of the guest artists that we have out here is I give them a song they never heard before, and we just capture that process. Yeah. And Rashid Williams, for example, he took it as a challenge. By the 3rd take, he wanted to play it perfectly, and he did.
He did.
Greg Bissonette, I gave him a really, really hard song, and he ended up charting a lot of the stuff out himself. Larnell Lewis didn't play once. He listened to the song like 4 times in a row.
Not even. I was in the room for that. He listened to it through twice.
That's right.
Spot checked maybe 30 seconds.
And then he just killed it, right? So everyone has their own way of doing it. Obviously, we're talking about greats.
But
they can do it in their sleep. But
they're all doing the exact same thing.
100%. Yeah.
They're listening to the music and listening to how they're going to support it and what the structure and the framework of that looks like and how they can do their thing into it.
Great question that just came in from Zachary Harper. Asks if you would chart a song the same way as if you were a beginner, or is there a way to make an easier chart for beginners?
100%.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw what Jared had on the board before I erased it. Whatever. Yeah. You could do the exact same thing with none of the notation and markings. You could just write out the sections.
Yeah.
That's all you really, really need. And then by doing that, what you're giving yourself is you're listening to the song and you're learning to hear the cues in changes. Oh, the guitar's doing something different there. Okay, that's probably a new spot. How many bars is this? Okay, it's 8 bars. Okay, something different's happening here.
Yeah.
How long is this section? Oh, it sounds like it's probably, okay, count it out, 8 bars. You start to see what the form looks like, but you're also training your ears to hear, oh, that sounds like it might be well, what does it sound like? Oh, it's bigger, or it's more triumphant, or it's sparser, or it's slower. Right?
Gritty, that's one I use.
Gritty, I like that. You know, and then those are the things you might think about. You don't have to write it down. You could just, like inside Drumeo, all of our play-alongs have, all the chart says is 8-bar verse, 8-bar pre, it doesn't tell you anything else.
Yeah, just tells you the structure of the song.
No shots, no nothing. And then you got to go and do that homework. This is kind of combining those two skills at once.
Yeah, and the Just Drums in the chat says, how does one get to learn this, guys? And the thing is obviously through repetition, and you have to understand song structure. And this is just one section. We thought we'd do this as a live lesson because everyone has their own way of charting, and charting is something that every drummer could learn or should learn. But if you check out Learn Songs Faster. I keep thinking something made easy or something. If you check out Learn Songs Faster, though, it's a whole process. You start with getting your essentials down, then you move into listening, understanding what song structure is. That's a big one. A lot of drummers, beginners especially, they don't know even what a basic song structure looks like. So counting in phrases instead of counting note for note or bar for bar really makes a huge difference. And then when you go for the actual song itself, you're just basically keeping time within a pocket. Charting songs is an afterthought, is if you really have the time or you want to learn a lot of songs, charting is great. And Jared mentioned, he's actually in the chat right now, chatting with everyone out there. He mentioned too that if you want to be a gigging drummer, this is the most useful skill you can have. And a lot of drummers, when they sit down to practice, they think, I just need to practice stuff on the kit. But listening, developing your ears, and learning the skills of charting like this is going to make a huge difference. And you'll be able to have a repertoire of hundreds of songs that you can just pull out or at least get close to so you can play these gigs.
And it becomes stylistic.
Yeah.
You don't even have to worry about it, like I said, right? When you learn to style. One thing I want to talk to you, I'm going to talk right now to all those people out there, and I know there's lots of you, and I love you all, the ones that have to read sheet music when they're playing the drums. Hey, I want to learn this song, I have to have the sheet music. I have to know exactly what to play because I don't know what else to do.
Yes, please, yes.
Right? That's a great thing. I understand that, and I applaud you for going through the process of learning that, and that's a great, great skill.
Sorry, my mic's acting up. Keep going.
So that's a really crucial thing to do. But I find so many students get so caught up in that, and it starts to make them, they get terrified of no sheet music, and we'll have a song released, and they go, there's no sheet music, I can't play it.
Yeah.
That's totally, this is an important difference here, because you need to develop your ears, and you have to trust your ears.
Yes.
And you have to take it for a spin, and jump off the diving board. You're practicing at home. It's gonna be fine. Nothing bad's gonna happen. You're gonna make a mistake, fine, right? If I played this, and just played the money beat all the way through, that's gonna work just great.
You'd still get paid.
That's right. Like, this is, I'm trying to put all the pieces together to show how the process evolves, right? But it's like, the best way you can approach any music is to listen to it and find the pulse.
Yeah.
And then just try and play along to it. Whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, or the same as the other, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just play along to it. Find the pocket and get into it. You know, I always tell students to pick songs they know when they start doing this process. And they say, well, yeah, I have a hard time learning songs. Okay, great. What's your favorite song? Oh, I love AC/DC. Great. So do you know Back in Black? Well, I don't know how to play it on the drums. Right, okay. Do you know Back in Black? You know, sing it for me. Oh, Back in Black, right? They sing it, right? You go, great, you know that song really well. You could sing the entire song. What a surprise. And by the way, great voice, you know? But like, you know that song completely. So if you start playing it, you're gonna find how it fits, and you're gonna find the groove right away because you're singing it in your head while you're playing it. It's charted territory in your case, right? It's a song you're familiar with. And you might go, oh, but I get super frustrated because I didn't play the same fill that Phil Rudd played or that Simon Kirk played. Doesn't matter. We're not doing that yet. Just play the groove. We have lots of great students who have what they would say, hey, I can barely play a fill, but I'm gigging 3 times a week. And they get super dumbfounded. They're like, why am I getting calls? I said, ask the band.
Because you're not playing drums, you're playing music, right? Ask the band.
And the band says the same thing every time. You know why you've got the gig and so-and-so doesn't, who's got chops? and no offense to chops.
Yeah.
We all love chops. But he says, you know what? It's because you can play in time, you make a nice pocket, and I can play on top of it.
There you go.
You know? And that's all we're doing.
It's not rocket appliance. Couple questions from
got that in there.
I did. I got it in there. Couple questions from the Drumeo members here. One's from Mosin Doc. Says, what track is this? What we just listened to was the rock song. It's a Drumeo play along. Also asked, so do you think from listening to the song, it's easier than charting? It's the same thing. You're listening, you're using your ears to make the chart. The chart's just writing the notes down that it makes it easier for you so you're not having a library of stuff.
Let me get this to you another way. I want you to recite a poem, okay? And it's 3 stanzas long. Let's consider it's a relatively long poem, okay? But I want you to recite the poem to me. Okay, great. So how do you want to learn it? Okay, well, I'll tell you the poem. Got it? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Tell me back. You have what? Okay, you got the and. Okay, good. All right, I'll tell you again. You got the first line. Excellent. Great. Okay, 6 hours later. Do you have it yet? Here it is again.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Why don't you just read it?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean this?
Here's a question for you, Kyle. This one's from the YouTube chat. Is from, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Gregors asks, how would you tackle changing tempos and time signatures when charting? He
Great
said
question.
transcribing. We're not transcribing, we're charting. It's the whole difference. How would you?
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
And should I clarify the difference between transcribing and charting?
I think they got that.
One's a much longer word.
Yeah, there you go. One starts with a T, other starts with a C.
Okay, super easy. My way of doing it is like this. So if a song is assumed in 4/4, I don't bother putting it on there.
Yeah.
If it's in 3, I'd put 3/4. If it's in whatever time it is, I'm going to put it there. Most importantly, if it's a song I feel in a particular way, it may or may not be right. Right? Like the ongoing dispute of 12/8 versus 6/8.
Okay, yeah.
I use the melodic structure to decide what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. But I do that if it's a bar 7 in the middle of a section. So let's say it's a bar 4 and then a bar 7. So we're coming out of a section that's 8 bars. I'm going to write it. Can we see the bottom? We can. Yeah. Okay. So I would, this marker. Hang on. There we go. Okay.
Only the best here, Drumeo,
Okay. It's
man.
going back. It's actually going the other way now.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Okay. So I'd write, 8 bars, let's say. That's terrible. It's 8. Oh my goodness. But then I would put 7/4. Oh man, you can't even see that.
Don't worry, we got another pen coming in.
This one worked better than the other one earlier.
Yeah.
Hang on. So what I would do, I'll explain it while I'm waiting, is I wouldn't put anything if it's a section before it's 8 bars.
Yeah.
In 4/4. And then to me there's a bar 7. I'll just write 7/4. And then if it goes back to 4/4 right away, I don't bother changing it.
Right.
Because I'll assume it's only that one bar. If it's a section in 7/4, I'll make sure I note how long it is. If there's shots in it, I note those as well. Yeah, so it would look like this. So this one's not much better. Maybe the spot on the board's bad. That's possible too. 8. Yeah, so I would just put 7/4 and then like that. Because I just had to learn a song the other day that had multiple time changes all over the chorus.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, and in most cases, the odd time signatures scare people. Don't let them. Because when you're writing it out, you're listening to the phrase and the flow of it.
Yeah.
That's more important. If it's a bar of 2, a bar of 7, and a bar of 3.
No,
It's okay.
it's a little, but it's much more.
Okay, thank you.
functional.
Perfect. But yeah, when you get to that spot, I'll write it out. But honestly, I only make markers for where I need to know the difference. Right? So if it's a big change, 8 bars and then 7/4. If it's 7/4 for 3 bars, I'll put a 3 there, and then it'll go back to 8 bars. I might put 4/4 here, just as a reminder if it's important.
So for all you watching, remember, Kyle understands his writing style. He understands what he's doing because it works for him.
That's right.
So if you're following this chart, you might think this is from outer space,
Right.
and it might be. But I had someone in the chat also mention, can you color code? Of course you can.
Yes.
In fact, I just joined an AC/DC tribute band about 8 months ago, and I had to learn about 35 AC/DC songs. And for all you AC/DC fans out there, they all sound the same.
I was just going to say, so that was kick drum, snare drum, kick drum.
I know. I'll probably get
totally
a
teasing.
bunch of emails about that.
It's
when
not
I just
true.
said there, but I love it. It's a lot of fun. But when I was notating or charting those songs out, I used Google spreadsheets, and I totally did a color code. Verses were like an orangey, choruses were uplifting, so I had them as like a blue or something. I can't remember the exact color scheme, but then when I'm sitting there, I'm looking at the blue. Just has a big cell of blue.
Brilliant.
And it says 8.
Brilliant.
So 8 for the chorus. That worked for me. Other times, if there's a song I'm learning, I'll also put a song that references a beat
100%.
like that. Like if it's like Billie Jean from Michael Jackson, that's the groove all the way through. Sometimes I'll just write up there, it sounds like Billie Jean. Or
I do that
feels like,
all the time. Or I'll put the drummer style.
Yeah.
Sounds like Sean Pelton. Sounds like Jeff Porcaro.
Yes.
I want to make one quick point about the color coding. Color coding's awesome. Be careful if you ever use it live, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, yeah.
Red lights will make everything red disappear on a chart. I used to use red markers for making notation changes on charts. Gonzo. Because I'll use, this is a question that comes up that I should mention. Hey Kyle, what happens when you play the same song with 5 different artists and the arrangements are different? Well, there's 2 ways I can approach that. I can either rewrite the chart if it's completely different. Maybe one band does the original version of the song and the other band does this version that's 25 years later and totally different. But a lot of times it's the same version with slightly different structure changes, maybe the live version of it, that sort of thing, and the ending's different. I'll actually keep the original chart and I have different versions of it marked out on the bottom of the chart, and I notate which artist it is, so I'm saving myself the work of doing it again. And then sometimes I'll save it as a separate file. I do all my charting now on a tablet.
Brilliant.
All of it.
Brilliant. And then you have them all with you in one.
And I have them on the interwebs.
On the cloud,
So
yeah.
if my tablet dies, I still have all my charts.
Another great tip.
I can borrow another tablet and still get them all.
So, I want to hear from you out there. What's your version? This lesson is gonna live inside of Drumeo. So if you're watching this in the archives, leave a comment. Tell me what's a little bit different. This approach is already different than what Jared did in Learn Songs Faster, which is more or less along the lines of what I do. But it's a great approach, and I'd love to hear what you do to chart your songs.
I want to know is if you don't do this and you don't want to do this, what's your approach and why do you feel yours works best? Why does it work for you better? I want to know.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a better or worse situation. This is fast and is good when you get to it, but maybe it's not the best for you. I'd like to know why.
Yes.
I'm curious.
We're going to answer a few more questions here, and then I'm going to have Kyle jam out this song that he's only heard once and see how he does. So let's get to the questions. And this one here is from Journey Drum Bum, our friend Gino.
Gino.
Says, do you ever put notes about cues you get from bandmates? Saw Mike Portnoy in Japan. Unreal how everything worked perfectly. What do you think?
Yes. If it's a cue that's going to be consistent, I do. The thing with that is, and this is an important thing, I can do this, and this will work today. Why? Because I'm playing to a track. I'm pretty sure the track's not going to change, unless Dave picks a different song, which you might do. But if I'm playing live with an artist, it's entirely possible. Imagine this for a second. Maybe I had to chart a song, and I've never met the artist, ever. So I meet them as we're loading in on stage. So I've never played a note with them. And I'm playing one of their original songs that all I have is the recorded version, and we've maybe communicated a little bit about what we're going to play right now. And I finished setting up, it's a quick changeover, and my charts are there, and I've got my tempo marking, and I'm ready to count in that first song, which I've heard maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And then the artist, we start playing, and the artist, looks back at me, and they start doing their thing, and we're doing good for the first section. All of a sudden, something changes, and they go, that's not what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay, well, obviously, what do I do? What's the answer there, right? Well, I know this is correct. No, it's not. That's correct. This is where we are right now. This is happening in live time, right? So I'm now going to use my ears and my wits to figure out what they're doing. Oh, this section's longer now. Okay, great. Just kind of making mental notes as I go. Oh, what's supposed to come up next? Oh, we're supposed to go to a chorus. Let's see if that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, we do. Okay, great. Okay, we're back on. Oh, maybe we're not. Oh, we're breaking it down. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe we skipped ahead. Oh, we took out that verse. Oh, right? But that's the beautiful thing of the chart is I still have some help if I need it. I don't know where they're going. I don't know where the roadmap they're following is.
Yeah.
But I at least have an idea of where they might go.
The chorus is going to come at some point.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to actual writing cues, hey, the singer's going to put his hand down here. Sometimes I do that if I trust they're going to do it consistently. If I don't, I keep my eyes open. And that's actually, Gino, why I make these charts this way. Because I can glance at the chart, but my focus is always on the artist in case that happens. I'm reading body language all the time, especially if it's my first time playing with a band.
And any of those who are in worship bands that play on Sundays, you know all that all too well.
Oh, that's a great example.
When is he going to be vamping, and how long is he going to be vamping for? It's the $1 million question.
We practiced it, and it was only 4 times, but you did it 7.
Yeah, but the Holy Spirit moved, and now we're going an extra 8
why
bars.
is the Holy Spirit making my charts?
Exactly. Here's a question from Ice Tech. Can you chart flock of seagulls real quick, please? No, we cannot.
I can draw seagulls.
But we can draw a bunch of seagulls for you.
Hang on.
I want to see, I mean, Ice Tech, I know you very well, but I would like to see your chart it out yourself, send it to us, and we'll see if you're right or wrong. Or not if you're right or wrong, but if we would do anything different.
I have a little known fact about well, it's not that little known fact, but this is fun for Ice Tech. He might know this. He's a pretty smart dude. But they have won a Grammy Award. And that shouldn't surprise you. They're a hit song.
Who?
Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, yeah.
Not
okay.
Ice Tech.
Sorry.
I don't think Ice Tech's won a Grammy. Maybe. But they've won a Grammy. And I was like, oh, it's probably for I Ran, which is their big hit.
Yeah.
Not at all. They have an instrumental song called DNA that won Best Rock Instrumental at the year that it was nominated, like 1981 or something. Look it up.
I think bands like look at all the categories and the Grammys. I'm like, I'm gonna go for that one.
You know what?
Let's write a rock instrumental.
You know what? My brother has a Juno, which is the Canadian version of a Grammy, and it's on same thing. It's a very small topic that he won for. It's like, well, there was only three artists that were nominated that year, and his artist won because the guy that had won every year didn't do an album that year.
Perfect. That's where all the gold is in those little pigeonholes, right? Here's one from Shahi Mohisen. Do you think charting can take you to another level as a drummer? Kyle, what do you think?
Absolutely. The amount of information I can retain quickly and learn how music is structured makes my playing that much better all the time. Your instincts are constantly, you're able to play in the moment all the time because you're listening to what's happening next.
Yeah.
And you get faster and faster at processing that information. Yeah. The song we opened with, now, that didn't have a ton of like twists and turns in it.
It was pretty simple.
Yeah. But still, I'm forecasting where it might go because of that information I have. I'm thinking of a couple of things. Okay, I know a couple of Yuka songs. The thing I know about that band is they're probably pretty consistent, but they also have a habit of putting interesting little things in. And I'm like, there could be a bar 3 coming here. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's possible there's a phrase that I'm not going to expect.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of keeping my guard up for that to happen. But it's like I only have that because I've had to do it so much.
Yes.
I'm constantly sort of. It slows down for me. Yeah. In that sense.
Well, if you're playing a song, you're like, well, chances are there's going to be a solo section, or chances are there's going to be a bridge because you just listen to so much music, you understand the basic strong song structure. Here's one from our buddy Fred in Drumeo. Says, I use charts. I use the chart sheets from Successful Drumming, which are very simple, very similar to the charts you get in Learn Songs Faster, but I've never had to use them live. Do you use charts to play live or just part of the learning process in your practice room? And I'm about 75-25. 75% of the time, I don't need the charts because the process of charting it out got me to the point where I know the song enough. But there are those times where, or even live, where you just all of a sudden have this forgetful moment. You're like, oh no, we're doing this song next. Like, is the fill in the first verse or the second verse? So then I'll have a chart for that. What about you?
Boy, do I live in that world.
Right?
Oh man.
What about you?
It depends on what I'm doing. So if it's a one-off with an artist, obviously I need my charts.
Yeah.
Because if it's a one gig situation where I don't know if I'm going to play with them again, I actually take that opportunity intentionally to do my best. Obviously, you're always trying to do your best. But if I have one shot with an artist to do well, I want to do my best.
Yeah.
Because I want the next gig.
Yeah.
I want the next call.
Yeah.
So I have to go up there and they'd be like, I can't believe you've never played with us. That's what I hope for every time. Or when they say things like, I didn't even notice my regular guy wasn't there. That's my job.
Yeah.
So I use charts in those situations. If I'm doing anything I do on a regular basis, no. And what Dave said is exactly the way I approach it. If it's sorry, I lost my train of thought. No, I'm kidding. If it's a situation where I'm playing on a regular basis and the act of charting it out is giving me 75% of the way to where it needs to be, I'll fill in the blanks as I go. The other exception is if it's a gig where I have to play very, very specific parts. If it's a theater show where they have to have the fills in the right spots, or some artists want exact fills.
Let's hold that thought right there. Paul in the chat or in the Drumeo said some songs have recognizable parts that must be played on the drums.
100%.
Do you include those in the chart?
Yes, absolutely. If there's a classic fill, and that's the truth, I'll write it out. Anything that I think is important. These charts get more coverage. I'll do more writing if I'm working for an artist that I know wants specific parts, or I think the style needs it, right? If I know the fill is signature, I will write it out. It'll either be up here or I write them on the bottom so I can reference them quickly. Just by writing it out, I usually have a pretty good idea how it goes. But to get it right, I'll make sure it's there.
Very cool.
Every time.
Last couple ones before we wrap up. Zachary in YouTube says, hey, so is it bad to listen and play to a song as it's playing? If you have never heard it before, sorry for my bad question. I'm new to drumming. It's not a bad question at all.
It's an awesome question.
I do that all the time. In fact, one of the things I love doing is putting on, iTunes has these radios, Spotify has them too, where you just choose a style and it just randomly plays songs. And I love just jamming along with it. I'll make mistakes. I don't know the structure at all, but it's just fun to do. And when I'm learning like songs for a gig, sometimes I'll do that as well. I'll listen to it and jam it as I'm doing it, but you're still learning and listening. It's a big skill to learn. It takes a lot of time, Zachary, but if you keep it up, things will start getting easier and quicker, and all of a sudden you'll be charting songs with ease. You'll be understanding song structure, so you won't need to chart for the most part. Anticipation, musical anticipation is something all the pros have. They don't even realize it. I can give Kyle a song, for example, the very first song you played, you'd never really heard that song. No. Maybe once years and years ago, but if that. But his musical intuition's like, well, now we're going to go to the chorus, or I know phrasing, I know 8 bars. This is all talked about and expanded on in Learn Songs Faster. So if you're watching this and you're on YouTube, you're like, man, this is something I'm struggling with, or I really want to be able to play music a lot easier, check out Learn Songs Faster. Go to drumeo.com. You can pick it up. It's only $5.
It's crazy.
And all proceeds go to help those in need of COVID. Because of COVID right now, not because against COVID. Yeah. Against COVID, and also you get a free 30 days of Drumeo Edge. So it's our way to kind of give back with the little bit we can. Also give some help to those in need. Beginner drummers, even intermediate drummers are getting a lot of use from this. The comments are great on it, by the way. And Jared and I are going to be filming a Q&A with some of the questions that are being asked as well. So there's a lot of cool things happening there. Let's wrap it up though, Kyle.
Okay.
You ready?
I need this chart so I can see it.
Right?
I can't read it backwards through the TV. I wish I could. I'm not quite that good. Let me see. I can probably just move it. Hang on. Hold on.
So while he does that, just want to thank everyone for coming out and watching us live. For those of you who are already in Drumeo and are already rocking through the Learn Songs Faster Masterclass, hopefully you're enjoying it. Leave a comment in those videos, and if you have any questions about it along the way, Jared and I are going to be answering those. Also, for those watching this in the archives, please leave a comment below of this video letting us know what you do for charting and why it works for you. And if you've never charted before, now's the time to start. It's easy. You learn songs much quicker, and you can eventually, oh, hi, Kyle.
Hi.
Where'd you go, man?
I know. It's amazing because you can barely see it in the shot. It's almost straight on, so but I totally can't see Dave. So.
It's like we're supposed to be 6 feet away, or 6 meters.
I've got my own barrier.
This is the next level, though. All right, Kyle, you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to plug my computer back in.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. This has been awesome. I hope you got something out of it. And like Dave said, I encourage you, just play to songs. Just whenever you feel like it. Don't worry about mistakes. Just play along and have the joy of that. And that's just as helpful as practice sometimes. 100%.
Absolutely. Okay. Kyle, if you know a joke, now's the time.
Let's see. What do you call a fish with no eyes? It's kind of a drumming joke, right? Because it's kind of a, you know. I have no good jokes, or none that I'm allowed to say publicly. That's the thing.
That's
and
more like it.
People suggest that is those are the funniest jokes, the ones you can't share publicly. So, I don't know. And the problem is I hang out with the wrong crowd with jokes. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, well.
I tell you.
You hang out with Jared? Here we go.
That's true.
I'm pressing play.
Let's do it.
Good luck. Follow the chart.
Thanks, man.
May the chart guide your way. Bye.